that one. But adding Cam Scott, Trent Noah, at least on video, looks like a very interesting piece. I'll mention Eli Ellis is not in this class, but is in the next class. Lamont cooking more than mac and cheese, cooking a little bit more than mac and cheese right now.
Conversation, and I'm like, man, did we even recruit each other if we don't know? We the early game had to make that mac and cheese connection for them. Have we even had a conversation yet?
Did they get together? How involved was Lamont in the recruiting process?
We need to have a talk now.
But they and I did die laughing at the car washing conversation yesterday with Cam Scott, who's like, yeah, I washed it once when I got it. Isn't that what we all do as young kids? We wash the car once when we get it, and we're like, oh, it's not quite as enjoyable.
Yeah, not what I thought it was going to be.
So we'll talk more about that and get into what it really does mean, because there are some ramifications, I think, of what Lamont Paris is doing, landing kids like this, the top players in state, because they're seeing it happen. They're seeing it happen, and that is huge. Seeing your peers, but the guys that may be in the class ahead of you, you look up to going to the university, because I think that's what Gigi meant, and that may be Gigi Jackson's legacy for the University of South Carolina and him, was creating a trend of going to South Carolina.
It doesn't matter what your parents say, what the coaches say. The most important thing in recruiting is peers.
Yeah.
Because they're going to have conversations. They're going to be talking, especially as Cam said, him and Gigi are close. They've competed against each other. They've played against each other. Those conversations are going to be had. And before that commitment was made, there was conversations. I don't know what they were, but I can pretty much assure you that if Gigi had a very negative view of Coach Paris and the staff, this recruitment and commitment would have been a lot harder to come by.
Right.
That's just very simple. Doesn't matter if his parents wanted to come here. Doesn't matter if it doesn't matter, because young people listen to young people. And so if he shares his experience with them, that's a very positive benefit for the program overall.
So they will. We'll talk more about this as we go through the morning. Again, it's more about we don't know hopefully he goes and is a great player and lives up to the hometown hype and everything, and that would be ideal. But it has some ramifications on, I think, overall recruiting. Lamont Paris, according to 24/7 Sports, has landed 2 of the 3 highest players South Carolina's ever landed. I would say he's cooking more again than just mac and cheese right now. He is on a roll and enjoying life. By the way, I mentioned this. Lamont Paris is loving life right now. You're talking about a guy that, 4 years ago was making, I don't know, $250,000, $220,000 at Chattanooga. Got obviously a significant raise to come to the University of South Carolina. Got to 2.2. Has just been to the NCAA tournament. Kind of has the city in the palm of his hand. Is now making close to $4 million. And yesterday saw him down at the Heritage, just down in Hilton Head, just chilling with Shane Beamer, just hanging out, enjoying the weather, enjoying golf. This is a man who is living life to the fullest right now.
Yeah, because this is the first time he might actually get a chance to spend some of that money, right?
Right,
because he's been locked in film, practicing 18 hours a day over at the facility. He's seen his bank account go, and he's like, I can't do anything with it. Now he's like, all right, I got some time. We're winning. I feel pretty good. People are happy to see me.
I'm landing elite prospects. Oh, I mean,
Let's go.
It's going well. And I got to admit again, yesterday, I said it, and I really do mean it, for a person who does love basketball and has grown up here and watched a lot of South Carolina basketball. I am thoroughly excited to see this team when we get to September and preseason starts, and to see them in November. There's going to be a lot of excitement when we get around to that portion of the year. So, yes, it was a lot of fun. On the flip side of that, Dawn Staley, and I want to get that audio. I don't know if we've got it, if we'll get to it, but we do or we don't.
We have it.
We have it. I might have to ask you, what is the ultimate flex right now by a coach? Because I think Dawn Staley might have done that yesterday. Dawn Staley might have dropped the ultimate flex on pretty much everybody with a social media video thanking certain celebrities for a gift basket.
Yeah, might have been the ace in the hole. The one. Yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll get to that maybe in the next segment as well, because Dawn Staley yesterday went complete flex, I felt like, on almost every coach, regardless of sport, especially women's basketball. But we'll get to that as well. Last night, NBA, did you get it? Or now we're easing into the playoffs with these play-in games. It's got my attention a little bit. I watched Heat the Sixers last night.
Yeah, no, because
No?
I feel like this series happens every year. Bulls versus the Hawks. Every year on Turner broadcast, and I feel like this series.
You
every
just
single
expect
year.
Dominique to come out of one side and Jordan to come out of the other?
No, I wish they would. These dudes are just indescript Bulls and Hawks. I feel like they play the same playoff series every single year. So I'm going to pass on this, the playoff game. I see what's happening here, but I am going to be very much interested in the NBA playoffs for sure. I've come to really enjoy playoff season for the NBA because I don't know if it's necessarily back to a more what I remember as playoff basketball, but playoff basketball slows down. It's a little bit tighter. The possessions are more important. There's more defense, and you really get to see the athleticism of these guys shine. So I'm excited about NBA playoffs for sure.
So that was last night. Coming up later today at about 8:15 while we are on air, we'll get the Heritage going with a couple different golfers teeing off. I think nobody really major tees off. Tony Finau, maybe the biggest name that gets going, but that'll be after 9 o'clock, 9:05 when he gets going later on today. Your buddy, your friend, your pal, Jason Day with the parachute pants.
My guy. I think he's going to be my guy.
Yeah, it gets going at 9:35 this morning down there at the Heritage. Jordan Spieth, 10:30. Scotty Scheffler, reigning Masters champion now, 10:30. In that group, Sahith Theegala right in that 10:40-ish window. Tommy Fleetwood, Max Homa, Justin Thomas, all right in there about 10:30 to 11 o'clock today is when they get going. So we'll get into that. And yesterday, we got to hear from several South Carolina football players. LaNorris Sellers speaking really, I think, for the first time since it's now kind of his role as he hadn't been named starter, and I played, I think, some audio after you left yesterday where I get the impression we're not going to have a starter named come Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Yeah, I heard that. I have a thought.
Okay. We'll get into a lot of that this morning. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. Firehouse Subs text line or on the Love Chevy phone lines. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. We're Gamecock Larry ready to weigh in this morning. Gamecock Larry, how you feeling? What you up to?
I'm feeling good. But, I've talked to a lot of guys since Cam signed going to Texas, and I told them, I said, Cam Scott will never play a game in a Texas uniform. And I think I might have told you on the radio, Bill. I don't know. I tell so much. I don't know. But I just had a feeling he would never go to Texas because he's stuck with Lexington. And instead of running off to some of these academies and stuff to play with the best players and all that, he's stuck with a hometown Lexington. And I just had a feeling. Now, I even told that I thought he was going to be a Gamecock. And I almost spilled it to Jen yesterday morning. Two thoughts was in my mind by that special announcement. One, Cam Scott's going to go to South Carolina. And number two, Jen's going to take off and leave you guys there by yourself. And, boy, that was two things that was worrying me. But that's okay. And on route home, BC took care of giving America over at BC last night. We coming to your place tonight, and we're going to take care of you again. And my drag racing team, my motocross team is in the top 4 in the first weekend. I don't understand all them numbers they put out, but they're in the top 4. We're going to be okay. Gamecock is going to sweep Arkansas this weekend. I'm going to have to get my old mind used to this analyticals or whatever you call it at Kingston, and put my buddies back on the back burner. Richardson, Raines, and Tanner. all this new stuff, all you young people, us old boy, us old guys can't take it. We don't understand it. But we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. Gamecocks will win 3 this weekend from Arkansas. And, oh, yeah, I got my tickets lined up for the 27th to be out to Kentucky. To be at the game with Kentucky. And let me tell you something. Kentucky's going to come in here high and mighty. You're going to leave, and we're going to win guaranteed at least 2. And we might sweep you. Go Gamecocks. Love all y'all. Talk to you later.
There you go. Gamecock Larry fired up this morning. 803-404-6100. We'll check in on that strong Dawn Staley flex, and we'll ask Preston, if you have celebrities that you're going to flex with, who do you go with right now? We'll see if Dawn had the ace of spades yesterday. 803-404-6100. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank. Jacob, the mortgage guru in this market, and I know that to be a fact because just a few years ago, I used Jacob to help me get in my condo in Lexington. Found a great interest rate. He handled all the paperwork. He made sure everything was timely. It ran smoothly, and that's why I trust the mortgage guru and why you should as well. Whether you're looking to buy a home, whether you're looking to refinance, or whether you are looking to build, First Palmetto Bank has a no-nonsense construction loan right now that might fit your needs, but the only way to find out is to call Jacob Crowder this morning and talk about all the options you have. 803-719-1005. You can also email him if you need to, jcrowder@firstpalmetto.com. With interest rates stabilizing, First Palmetto Bank has all kinds of different options that can help you. So call the mortgage guru, Jacob Crowder, today, 803-719-1005.
And taking a peek at those traffic conditions out there this morning, we do have one accident to let you know about, and that's Highway 1 near I-77. But everything else on your commute should be pretty clear at this point, and hope it remains that way. We are looking for a high today of 90 under sunny skies. Maybe some stray storms popping in, and those chances for some rain really continue tomorrow through about Monday. We'll be in the upper 80s through Saturday. Come Sunday, we drop to 68. Right now, 61 on the early game.
.621 on your Thursday morning as we get you up and get you going here. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. And my question to you, Preston, is who is the celebrity that you would use as like, they retweeted me. They're listening to us. Like, they're giving us a shout out. Who is the I don't know. I started thinking about this in depth last night. Like, that person's listening to us.
The person who would be important to me would not be important to everybody else. It wouldn't be a big thing for the rest of us. Like, Scott Van Pelt is listening to us? What? It would be stuff like that. So I don't know if my thing, especially as we're looking, I'm thinking of if I was a coach, I was like, hey guys, guess what? You're never gonna believe this, but Method Man is really into us. And they'd be like, Coach, I don't think it's a big deal.
Well, Beyonce still, I think, resonates with
very much so.
especially the recruits these days. And this is Dawn Staley. Last night, she put out a video. She got a care package from the Carter family. I guess that's right. This is Dawn Staley on Twitter yesterday thanking Beyonce and I guess Jay-Z.
A video thank you. Look at the flowers. I didn't even think they grow these here in South Carolina. Look at the merchandise, okay? If you know, you know. But I'm gonna read this card here, and if you know, you know. To Coach Staley and the entire South Carolina Gamecocks, me and my family watched your games and cheered you on through the entire season. Repeat, me and my family watched your games and cheered you on through the entire season. I am so proud of you. All my love. Hit it. Hit it. That's B. That's B. B and her family. Yes, Mr. Carter. Yes, Blue, you did your thing, Blue. Sir and Rumi. B, thank you. We appreciate you. We're honored to wear your gear. Okay? It says, always been country. Well, guess what? I've been in the South for 16 years. I'm a little country, too. Just because of you, B. Keep inspiring. We love you.
Okay, Dawn went complete fangirl there.
Which is
complete
fantastic.
Fangirl.
Right, yeah. To understand that there is somebody who has the power to turn Dawn Staley into fangirl.
Right. Goes complete fangirl and two, goes through the whole family. Thanks the whole family.
List everybody. Which, by the way, multi-platinum rapper, one of the greatest rappers alive, way down on the list. Like, yeah. UJ, that's fine, but Blue Ivy, Sir Rumi, and of course the Queen, we're more interested in that.
I just died laughing at that video last night because Dawn goes wild fangirl. But to put, instead of just writing like we would have done 20 years ago, writing a card back or making a phone call, thank you, let them know I'm very, very thankful, very generous of them to send this. Dawn puts it on social media, and that is a flex.
Here's the thing. A bunch of other people have sent Dawn congratulations.
Right,
also.
that too,
And
yeah.
she's like, oh, that's cool. That's cool. But there's one person that says he's like, ooh, this is and the thing about Beyonce, we don't even know if Beyonce is a real person because we never hear her talk. You don't see her until she has a video, till she's performing on stage. And so I could just see Beyonce watching a game and she like trying to figure out if there's bad refereeing. Is she trying to think about should Bree Hall take this 3-pointer or I just wonder. I wonder because we don't know if is she a real person? Like we don't ever see her. We don't know.
Yeah, does she have somebody watch the games for her and
Very
report
possible.
back?
Very possible that very possible. Or maybe she is a fan, which would be even a bigger upset. So yeah, I would not have expected this, but really, really cool. And maybe Dawn Studies like, hey, Blue Ivy, any talent? Any basketball chops?
There's a whole new level right there.
Mm-hmm. Any recruiting chops? If she can perform. I've seen her perform in front of a crowd. She can handle pressure, but I don't know if she can hoop, though.
I have no idea. I just know this also. I feel, and maybe I'm that person about this, but I feel like most coaches, when they do this, everything has a recruiting twinge to it. Like, I'm doing this a little bit for a recruiting aspect. Like, look at, this is who our program is associated with. The Plies thing earlier this year. I mean, here it is. Now you're basically like, look at our program.
Yeah, but see,
look who you get to come be affiliated with if you come to the University of South Carolina.
The level of jump from Plies to Beyonce is astronomical. Massive. Yeah, that is not. We're not playing the same ballpark here.
You think Kim Mulkey would have?
Anybody, whoever would have. There's only. I don't know, man. There's like maybe. There's only one other person with the cultural cachet that could have worked, and that's Drake. That's the only other person that would have worked.
And Kentucky took full advantage of Drake.
Kentucky did it.
Kentucky used
Cal
Drake.
tried.
Yes.
Cal tried. That's the only other person with the possible cultural cachet that would work with. So, yeah, big props. It's great to see Dawn actually be a human, and it's cool.
Yeah, and again, completely fangirl. Just completely lose. And then was that an effort to go country at the very end? And I'm not talking about the song.
But also, Dawn had to tell the person twice to hit it, so they're probably cut. they got to go run laps after the video. Poor execution. But yes, it was an attempt. Dawn is very proficient Dawn is corny. You hit some of
the dad jokes earlier this year.
We figured this out. Behind all of the Louis Vuitton and the tough exterior, Dawn is pretty corny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We figured this out.
She's got that cool corny going.
Well, it's only because she's cool.
Yeah.
Yes, that she can get away
She
with.
wins. She wins. You're allowed to be that way when you win and win
because people laugh at the jokes.
Yes.
That's the thing. People are like, oh, that's a good one.
It comes from a point of surprise because you see her being, all business and all of that, but then you watch the other side of her where she is dancing on the court and all of these things. Like you see those fun elements too. So
for sure.
Yep.
803-404-6100. We'll get into there's a wild story in the NBA. Gambling and being banned. We'll get into that a little bit. Again, we'll get you some South Carolina football player audio coming up on later in the show as well. A lot to get to. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
So just that one accident to let you know about Highway 1 near I-77, and looking for a high today of 90, 88 tomorrow, 86 on Saturday. Stray storms, those possibilities come in tomorrow and kind of continue through Monday morning. Right now, though, it's pretty nice and 61.
.35 on your Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, as we get you up and get you going here. Talking a lot of different sports. That was a little Dawn Staley and Beyonce there. And we'll get into some football from yesterday. LaNorris Sellers speaking, Rocket Sanders speaking. I will get into a little bit of serious discussion with Rocket Sanders coming up in the next hour with Preston Thorne on his shoulder. And for a running back, because now I'm starting to wonder what you get out of Rocket Sanders this coming season when you have a shoulder injury and you're a running back. We'll talk about that. But yesterday, kind of a wild story out of the NBA, Preston Thorne. Jonte Porter, a forward, banned for life. Toronto Raptors forward Jonte Porter for gambling violations. Welcome to the Pete Rose Club.
Yeah, except without none of the illustrious career of Pete Rose.
Yeah.
This is a really interesting story. It's a convergence of all these, the newest age of sports betting as far as the NBA is concerned, as far as the sports world is concerned, as far as young players are concerned. The details, I don't think, are as important as the overall story, but for short context, he essentially was using prop bets,
right,
and aiding and abetting in prop bets that were on him throughout the course of the year. Jonte Porter is a two-way guy. He bounces between he bounced because he's out of the league. He bounced between the G League and the NBA. Not a essentially a role player or a roster guy, and he was using his spot on the roster to aid third-party bettors in converting on their prop bets.
Right.
That's the basic. That's what you need to know. The numbers are not as important. And because, and this is where you can get into the conversation of, what's the benefit of having these things above board now? Because this is above board, they flagged it. They saw some suspicious activity on him, some action that was coming in that didn't make a lot of sense. They flagged it. They went and investigated it, found out that he was in the wrong. And in a matter of about 3 weeks, he's out of the league. And so a lot of people would say this is a successful story for legalized in gambling because they found something that was wrong, address it, and it's been done with. The NBA, however, does not love this story, especially coming on the back of what we've now found out was the Ohtani story.
Right.
There was just these things were happening at the same time.
There's it's always fascinating, and you have a better perception of it because of what you've talked about, where you had to sit through as a college athlete, where they would come in and talk about gambling and not doing it as a college athlete. But I don't know if you can separate this with players. I mean, it's just, at times I'm more surprised we don't have more players taking more of situations where players aren't influencing the outcome, or maybe we just don't know about it. But professionally, more players not influencing the outcome.
Well, I wasn't here for the initial story because it was a fun and cute story, but my eyes perked up when Boban missed the free throw intentionally, which, Boban, don't give yourself that much credit. You're not that good of a free throw.
It would have been more impressive if he made it.
Yeah, he can't afford to miss intentionally. He's not that good. And it was cute because everybody gets free chicken, but it's like, all right, now, what are we doing here? I rarely get on a slippery slope type of argument, but I was like, okay, that's an interesting story to look at. Yes, everybody knows it's wrong. However, with it being legalized, advertised, packaged with the game, essentially, I'm not sure if our generation, there was always an underbelly of gambling, right? There was always a feeling of like, all right, this is a little bit seedy or whatever. I got to go meet my guy, whatever.
Right.
But now it's not packaged that way. And what I'm wondering is if as younger generations progress, if sort of the stench of gambling is going to be removed, and that little barrier.
I think it is.
I think it is too. I do.
I think it is. I think it. I look. To be honest, in college, I had one of those whatever websites that you would go to. No, I wasn't gambling. Like, to me, if I lost 60 or 70, if I lost $100, I was terrified of what would happen. Not that I was terrified of whatever offshore. I don't know. I don't do it anymore, so I can't tell you. I don't know the detail. I can't remember the detail.
That's the point, because like you said, it was some .net, or some very weird, obscure thing that only if you knew. Is very different than what we have now, where it's very much advertised, put in your face, packaged along with the games, as ESPN has a sports book. And so I'm not moralizing at all. I'm just saying I think this is just going to be something that the NBA, NFL, all the leagues are going to have to very much watch and especially as you trickle down into the college ranks.
And maybe somebody, again, because as I got older and got kids, and then you start, like, in college, we all had that one buddy who hit a big bet or something, probably lost a lot, but hit a big bet, and you're like, I could be like that guy and have, in college again. If I win $1,000 when we were in college was like $1 million. You're like, wow, I can go down here to Sharky's and it's $2 beam and Sprites, and man, I'll clean up and I'll be the big man on campus. And then I got older and I had kids, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, actually the odds of me winning are very slim. I probably should use my money elsewhere. But to go back, and this is where I was going to go with this. If somebody who has, and I will keep you anonymous, I don't know when the player prop bets really took off. And maybe they were taking off when 20 years ago, when we were 25 years ago, when we were in college. Because I don't remember back then people being like, oh, Peyton Manning is going to throw for so-and-so yards tonight, take the under, or take the over, or whatever. It is interesting because it does feel like there is now more of a fantasy football prop bet type feel to what people do now. Because it feels like when I watch more of the DraftKings stuff and what all these commercials that come on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's, without having an exact date, I think it's just the adrenaline rush of being able to keep you constantly involved in the game. Because if you're just betting on the game, well, that's only one outcome.
Right.
But if you have all these props in between, now I have to stay engaged. I have to watch the game. I have to stay all the way involved. And so one of the things you're seeing is that, good luck with this ever happening, but the NCAA might be on to something if they could get something done. They're trying to legislate against prop bets in the college game, because that opens up a whole nother deal for folks. Like, again, so I said I'm not moralizing at all, 100% not. But what I'm saying is just we just have to watch this. And if you are somebody, if the betting companies right now, they can look at this and point to this as a success. They can say, listen, we found that guy. We got him out of here. The baseball coach at Alabama, we got him.
Yeah.
So they are finding things, and the irregularities that are happening on large scales, they are finding and rooting them out. So I would consider that a success.
803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in as we look up here. I was looking to see if there was a Heritage update. Well, I was going to say, because I've seen more, like at the Heritage.
Let me give you a prop. Mike Trout hits another solo home run.
8th homer of the season. Did you see that stat?
8 homers, 11 RBI.
He's like, dude, can some of y'all get on base? Any one of you, get on base for me to hit a home run. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in if you want to do so this morning. Again, we'll get into some football talk, but up next, Asia Wilson named top 100 influential person. We'll let Preston break that down as well. You're listening to The Early Game. Up and at 'em as we roll along, 6:49 on your Thursday morning as we get you ready for a fun weekend, especially at Founders Park. And we'll let you listen to a little bit of Coach Mark Kingston. Got a lot of audio coming up in the next hour. We'll talk Atlanta Braves as well. Braves 12-5 on the season, and we'll get to our chop talk as we get through the early portion of the season. We'll get to Mark Kingston, though. Last night, Mark Kingston on Carolina Calls. Tonight, reminder, Shane Beamer will have his Carolina Calls, and we'll play a lot of audio and get all football handsy. We'll get all into the football coming up in the next hour, but discussing a few different things right now, including the banning of Jonte Porter, Toronto Raptors forward, for influencing not games, but prop bets more so.
In the grand scheme of things, yes, it influences games, but on a micro level, it was his prop bets.
Like, for example, I think one of them was that he would score 5.5 points in a game, and he basically scored 4 and faked an injury and got pulled out.
Yes. There was another one where he was on a prop bet where he basically mistakenly hit the over. He tried to shoot a three-pointer and made it. And I think he was trying to miss it. He banked it in.
Yeah.
I was like,
there you go. Good job. 803-404.
You, sir, do not deserve to be in the league.
Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. I don't know where this is about to go. Angel wants to weigh in. How you doing this morning?
Good, guys. How are y'all?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, I think the one thing, just listening to you guys talk about it, was that really affected how this has changed is COVID. You know, when you can go out to the bars and watch a game with your friends and say, hey, I'll take the over, or you just want to hang out with your buddies and place a $5 bet. You know, me and my friends, when we couldn't go to the bar and watch games and do things, we would get on FanDuel and we would make our own, hey, let's all play fantasy and make your own team just for the day, right? So it gives you the ability to do things for one game, one afternoon. It's not a full season of fantasy. It gives you the ability to bet multiple times on different things, right? So I think COVID really played a part on how that evolved when people just couldn't get out and do anything.
Did it? I
don't know, and I think, but that could be a strong contributing factor. You never know what influences people's behaviors, but that's an anecdotal evidence of somebody saying, "Yeah, my sports watching behavior changed because of this thing." That makes sense to me.
Yeah. So,
well, let me ask you. Hold on. Let me just.
Have a good day.
Hold on. You still there? I just want to ask because you bring that up. But like when you say COVID, you couldn't go out, but there was no sports going on then, right? You're talking about after, I guess,
Yeah, I think kind of during. I mean, you still had a baseball season with no fans where you can, watch the game and pay, to have your picture in the stands, but you can still make a fantasy team for the day, right?
Gotcha. I see what you're saying. Okay. All right.
This game, so I pick up 3 players or so on, and you can do it with all the sports that were currently at the time.
Gotcha. Thank you for the phone call. It makes sense. I'll admit, like fantasy sports, I hate fantasy sports. Like, I don't hate the people that play it. As a matter of fact, I kind of admire the people that play it because, if you play fantasy baseball, the level of attention you have to have on a day in, day out basis to set your lineup or to be paying attention if somebody goes on IR or the 15-day disabled list or something. Props to you. I also think if you have a family, you might want to look at them a little bit more than your fantasy baseball lineup.
Well, they just figured out a way to,
or if your employer knows you're doing that, because let me tell you, if you're into fantasy baseball and you don't own your own company and you're working for somebody, that person is not getting your full attention.
Yeah, it's like, man, okay, we're gonna bring this kid up from AAA. He's gonna be the 5th starter in the rotation on a weekend series. What am I doing here? It could get deep. I get it. But I mean, fantasy baseball was the first bout into fantasy sports, and then everybody sort of tried to figure out the ways around.
I thought it was fantasy football. Honestly.
No, baseball was first. Yeah,
really?
Fantasy baseball's been around for a while, a long time. In a lot more cruder measures, but the same amount of dorkiness has always ensued, and that's the really fascinating thing about draft fantasy sports, because it was definitely reserved for dorks, and somehow they pulled the old switcheroo, and it became cool somehow.
The fantasy football, when we get to August and you're trying to hang out with someone who talks, they're like, I got a fantasy draft this weekend. Can't do that. Can't play golf. Can't. Nah, you can't come to your birthday party. Got a fantasy draft. I got it 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock. You're like, 2 fantasy drafts? 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in just a few minutes or a few seconds left. But Asia Wilson?
Yeah, for all this talk about Caitlin Clark, we got to stand up really quickly. So Asia Wilson has been named, which I'm not sure how influential Time Magazine is anymore, but she's been named one of the 100 most influential people for 2024. And one of the GOATs, Tom Brady, wrote a glowing review about her and talked about, what she means. But as I was reading his review, he listed her achievements. 2 WNBA championships, 3 WNBA MVP awards, a championship title at South Carolina, and a gold medal. There's not many people that can top that. So when we talk about GOATs, when I always talk about LeBron and Bryce Harper, we have to throw Asia Wilson into that conversation as somebody who we thought was going to be great and has been great at every level as a pro, Olympian, amateur. She's one of the best.
Hour 2 on the way. Is your pool ready to be used this weekend? That's the big question. It's going to be a nice weekend. Should be a lot of fun. You know what? You can grill out. You can do all these great things. But is your pool ready to be used? Are your kids ready to jump in the pool? I got a good buddy right now. His kids, doesn't matter the temperature. They're already using his pool. And Corley Pool Solutions is there to make sure his pool is clean and ready to be used and to make sure your pool is clean and ready to be used. The pool guru, Tracy Corley, with over 20 years of experience in keeping pools nice and clean, ready to be used during the summer, keeping that maintenance up. He's ready to help you today, and you need to get your maintenance lined up right now. 803-445-8109. They have flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. It's more affordable for you to call Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions today than for you to try and maintain it yourself. And they believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price. Call Corley Pool Solutions today, 803-445-8109.
Traffic-wise, we have out there 2 accidents to let you know about. Easy for me to say. Highway 1 at I-77. Also, Spears Creek Church Road at Wood Creek Farms Road. 90 will be our high today under some sunny skies. Then the chances for rain and storms come in really for between tomorrow and Monday. Highest chances for afternoon and evening storms will be on Sunday. But yeah, we're looking at 88 tomorrow, 86 on Saturday, and then we get into the upper 60s for Sunday and Monday again with those rain chances. But right now, 61 on the early game.
Up and at 'em, 7 a.m. on your Thursday morning. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, as we get you going here. Again, reminder tonight, we've got Carolina calls with Coach Shane Beamer. South Carolina, their spring game, 7 o'clock. We're going to talk a lot about that this hour and get into some player audio. LaNorris Sellers talking yesterday, Rocket Sanders, Mazeo Bennett. Dylan Stewart, got to hear from some of the young guys, so we will talk a lot about that. Also revisit some of the audio from Shane Beamer that didn't get to with you yesterday, and want to get your translations on some of the things that were said as well. So we'll talk a lot about that. But right now it's time for a little Chop Talk, our Atlanta Braves segment, sponsored by Carolina Turf Grass and Landscape Supply, where right now you need to get signed up for a fertilizer and weed control program. It is that time of year, and we're talking baseball. Well, baseball's got some pretty nice outfields. You want to make sure your yard looks just like the Atlanta Braves outfield, and you can do that with Carolina Turf, Grass, and Landscape Supply located in Lexington. You can line up a fertilizer and weed control program today. 803-446-6525. Again, that's 803-446-6525. You can visit them on the web, LexingtonLandscapeSupply.com, and learn more about them, whether it's mulch, soil and sand, gravel, decorative rock, or natural stone, pine straw. Carolina Turf Grass and Landscape Supply has it all. So, again, call them today, 803-446-6525. And, Preston, Braves have the day off before returning home, where they will face the Texas Rangers starting tomorrow night. 9
games. They'll be at home for a significant period of time. Just came off the road, 5-1. So they're playing pretty well right now. So it's exciting. And this segment has been really cool for me because I get to return to my roots of being a baseball dork. I'm looking at wins over replacements, ERAs.
Oh, a little war, huh?
I'm getting all into it, man. So this is really cool.
Scott weighs in this morning and says, going back to being a bit dorky on this, he goes, I spend 20 to 30 minutes a day on my fantasy baseball team. 10 teams in the league defending back-to-back champs this year. So Scott gets yeah, okay, there you go. There's your fantasy baseball thing. Braves 12-5 on the season. One of the reasons bullpen has, by and large, done a good job. This is Brian Snitker earlier. This is like Brian Snitker actually yesterday talking about his bullpen and the pitching staff.
Orlando, he's had so many big hits for you guys this year. Is that a case for just the more success he has in those spots, the more confident he is?
Yeah, he's got a slow heartbeat. I mean, I like seeing him in big situations. Even last year, he had a lot of big hits, and because he doesn't get caught up in all the excitement and whatever. He stays calm and slows the game down and allows himself a chance.
Well, I'm talking about your offense, but all these comebacks are a product of what your bullpen has done.
Exactly right. If they don't hold leads and keep us close when we get behind, you don't have an opportunity to do that. That's the most valuable thing they can do is just kind of keep a game in check and give us a chance, and they're really good at it.
Chavi gives up that home run, and then he settles right in and gets the next three, and then the other guys were all nails.
Just really good. Yeah, no, that was, I thought Max did a great job of limited damage in his last inning. He kind of had a lot of traffic and kept the game manageable, which is really, really good. That's what I told him. I mean, he wasn't hitting on all cylinders and everything, but, man, he never caved in and gave us a chance.
How important is it to get these looks at your team against, one of the best teams in baseball, best, offense and defense?
No, yes, it's a really good club. They're going to get healthy at some point in time, and so this is a good road trip.
Maybe you like some of Ronald's at bats kind of leading up. You saw this.
You know what? I said even last night he was kind of mishitting some balls and getting hits, and I was kind of almost like when guys start doing that, then they're just they're ready to get going and get on a run. So he's getting his hits and stealing bags, and I'm sure it was good for him to get that first home run out of the way.
How about the trip that Marcel had?
Sorry?
How about the trip that Marcel had?
Yeah, no, he's and he's had the whole season or longer than that, really. It's been a long time, yeah. So it's been big.
That's Brian Snitker there, and one of the things he was just talking about is Marcell Ozuna. This season, 8 home runs, including a 3-run blast. I believe it was on Sunday, when the Braves rallied for a 9-7 victory over the Marlins down in Miami. And Ozuna right now, the big burly Marcell Ozuna, having a pretty solid season. Now, you mentioned, we talked a little bit about Mike Trout, 8 home runs, 11 RBIs. You got Marcell Ozuna's home run RBI ratio.
I don't have his RBIs. I have his home runs. So he's tied for league lead. What's his RBI situation?
23.
See, that's when you got to feel terrible for Mike, man. This man got the same amount of home runs and double my amount of RBIs. Because guess what? My team gets on base.
That's right.
Jeez.
Ozuna right now, solid on the season, batting .352 in the DH spot. Again, 8 home runs, 23 RBIs on the season. He is well out in front of any other Brave. Right now, it's Matt Olson, the next closest, with 3 home runs and 12 RBIs this season. 284 right now for Austin Riley is the batting average. You got Ronald Acuna Jr. kind of starting to warm up a little bit, batting .294, just 1 homer on the season, though. When you get into when you're a big hitter like Acuna, and you've played now this many games this early in the season, though, and you only have 1 home run, did it affect you?
Yeah, it's probably bothering him a little bit. But he's coming off the slight injury and he's trying to ease in his way in the game. Baseball's a long season, but what's so special about Acuna is that he can affect the game in so many other ways. So even if he's not hitting for power out the park, if he's hitting anything in the gaps, he can get extended bases. So that'll come from, as long as he's hitting for average, the power will come.
On the pitching side of things right now, Reynaldo Lopez leading the team or second on the team in wins, 2-0. This is the guy they were excited about early in the season.
Yeah, but this is really important because with Spencer Strider being out, to have this guy that we didn't know what was coming from him, that he's basically the 5th guy in the rotation, and now he's leading the rotation. That's very, very promising for the team overall.
Keep an eye. The guy that they have now brought up got a start this past week, Darius Vines, who threw just 4 2/3 innings. That was his first start. He's the guy that they're talking about maybe being one of the young guys that can replace Spencer Strider, because that is a loss. Vines, 25 years old, 6'1", 190 pounds. Right now, 1.93 ERA, but again, through just 4 1/3 innings. Earlier, was it last week on the 15th? So was that was the 15th was a Sunday, I believe, or Monday. Monday when he got the start in Houston. That's a guy they're looking at to replace Spencer Strider. They're going to have to find some kind of.
Well, yeah, they have the guys. I mean, Max Fried's not pitching very well right now, so that's an issue. So you assume that he'll come back to his regular form, where that'll sort of bridge that gap. And old Charlie Morton's still in the game.
Just hanging in there.
Just hope he just
throwing. Feel like he's going to start. Feel like this season he'll start throwing the knuckleball at some point.
It's time that he adjusts to the knuckleball, become a knuckleballer. Charlie Morton will be fine. So I think once Max Fried returns, and that's why it's so important when he was talking about the bullpen holding their own. Yeah, they're looking good right now.
right now, going back. Leader on the team in strikeouts is Chris Sale, who I had a chance to watch pitch a couple weeks ago. Sale 1-1 on the season, has given up 15 hits, 9 earned runs, does have 20 strikeouts to 5 walks for the Braves. So there's your Braves segment. Right now, they are leading the league. Now, real quick, I want to go back because you got into it a little bit last week, and we will maybe next week as we get out of football discussion, get more into this arm issue, elbow issue, shoulder issue in Major League Baseball, because again, that is a topic that I think is going to become more prevalent as we go through the season.
Yeah, it's going to be something that you'll keep your eye on for the year. And obviously, people have always gotten hurt, but when it becomes your marquee pitchers,
right,
like Spencer Strider, people obviously, their arms are worth more than everybody else's. It's just the facts. So now we have to pay attention.
Break out the icy hot.
Yes.
Get it on the arms.
Now we have to find out
elbows.
what's going on here.
Right now, a couple teams, Preston, in the league. The White Sox just 3-15 on the season. They won one of their games last night in a doubleheader with the Royals, but very rough season for them. Really, the Miami Marlins are challenging them, and the Colorado Rockies for worst teams in the entire league. The Marlins 4-15 on the season, and the Rockies are pretty bad, also 4-15 on the season.
The issue with this is that the Athletics are trying to effectively throw their season. These other teams are actually trying. So that's a problem. I don't think the White Sox, and that's the problem with baseball, because you're 3-15 to start. It's not going to get better.
Well, I was just thinking that when you're 3-15 and there's 162 games and you've played 18 and you look around, you're like, oh boy.
You got to do this every day.
Oh, boy.
We have to do this every day for the next 3 months.
There's been some articles. The White Sox are going to challenge for being one of the worst teams ever to play in Major League Baseball.
That's something to shoot for.
Everybody's got a goal.
Listen, if you got to be bad, at least you can break a record or something. And I'm sure Jen's not so sad about the White Sox being bad.
Oh, not even close.
Exactly.
No.
All their dreams and goals are still in front of them.
That is true. At this point in the season, when you've only
really
played 18 games.
Yeah, it's still in front of us. That's true.
Jen's Cubs right now, half game back in the National League Central.
Here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to make a list of the teams who are the first to be mathematically eliminated. Can anybody
mathematically eliminated?
Can anybody just
not eliminated because
can anybody just totally be mathematic by 4th of July? Is there a chance that somebody could be, hey, listen, it's the All-Star break. We don't even need you. Don't even show up for the rest of the season.
it's going to be close for the White Sox. White Sox.
Yeah.
I feel like the Marlins might be able to turn it around. I'm supposed to go see the Braves and the Marlins next Wednesday night. I don't know if I'm going to go. Real quick, just some other stats. Christian Walker on the season batting .254 right now, 3 home runs, 11 RBIs for him as he kind of goes through the season there. Jordan Montgomery, who of course switched over and made the big switch there from the Rangers. I was looking for his stats. I don't have them right here in front of me here. But you go through Christian. I'm trying to think right now, and maybe somebody can help me. Is Walker, real quick, actually, I'm going to back up because you brought this up off air. Jackie Bradley Jr. just hanging around. Because I was about to ask, who is right now the face of South Carolina baseball in the majors? You've got Montgomery. You've got Clark Schmidt pitching for the Yankees. You've got, again, Walker. Whit Merrifield still out there hanging around. I'm sure I'm leaving somebody else out that I just off the top of my head I can't think of. I think Walker is the face, though, of South Carolina baseball in the majors.
Yeah, as Jackie Bradley has officially entered journeyman status.
Oh no, he's out of journeyman status.
He's just a hobbyist.
Do you have who he still played for?
I believe it was the Long Island Ducks.
Yes,
I believe it was the Long Island Ducks.
Independent baseball.
Yeah, not affiliated.
There you go. There you go. There is your Chop Talk segment. Also, a little Major League Baseball, sponsored again by Carolina Turf Grass and Landscape Supply, sodding South Carolina 1 square foot at a time. Again, call today. 803-446-6525 is how you can reach them. You can get yourself set up on a weed and maintenance schedule, or fertilizer and weed control program. You can get a mulch discount if you mention you heard it here on 107.5 The Game with Preston and Bill. Again, they have plenty of planting mix, screened topsoil, and assorted sizes of river rock. Anything you need for your yard, Carolina Turf Grass and Landscape Supply has got you taken care of. Located on Augusta Road in Lexington. Give them a phone call today, 803-446-6525. That's Carolina Turf Grass and Landscape Supply, official sponsor of our Chop Talk segment here on 107.5 The Game. Coming back, we'll get into some football discussion. LaNorris Sellers talked yesterday. We'll listen to a little bit of that and get Preston Thorne's thoughts.
Well, first thought is I think LaNorris looks like an assistant coach up there.
Okay.
I don't know whether it's the goggles or his disposition, but he looks like an assistant coach.
Absolutely. He has such – when I saw him at the Ladies' Day Clinic, he just looked like Mr. Student, like he's a chemistry major. And that's not a criticism. He just looks very studious, you know?
I agree.
We'll get into that.
I don't know if that's the first thing you want to read on your quarterback's recruiting profile.
Studious. I think it's good. We'll get into that. We'll get more LaNorris Sellers' thoughts, and I'll leave our Chop Talk segment with this text message from anonymous texter. At one point in college, I had to create a new ESPN account because you were only able to have 25 fantasy baseball teams per account. To quote Preston via Charles Dickens, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times. You're listening to The Early Game. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. You need to beat the seasons, and South Carolina's got multiple seasons. Hot, hotter, extremely hot, scorching. Those are really the 4 seasons that are about to come up, and you need to beat those seasons by contacting AAA Heating and Air right now. You can get new comfort in your home as soon as tomorrow with a phone call today. That's right. You need to check out the great options they have right now. Get a potential free replacement estimate today. That's right. You can get a estimate on a replacement, and you can get it for free by contacting AAA Heating and Air, 803-677-1500. If you're worried about cost, don't be. With AAA Heating and Air, their guaranteed financing options and comfort is always within your budget. So go ahead, give them a call today, 803-677-1500. That's how you can reach AAA Heating and Air. Get that free replacement estimate today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Still have one accident to report to you, and that is Spears Creek Church Road at Wood Creek Farms Road. 90, sunny today. It's going to be warm. Enjoy it. 88 tomorrow with some stray storms popping in. An evening storm possible on Saturday, high of 86. Then we cool down a little bit. Some evening showers on Sunday, 68 for the high. Those showers continue into Monday morning. And looking for a high of 66 before then we kind of get back into the 70s. But right now, it's not too shabby. 61 on the early game.
Reminder, the craft beer card is back. You can go to 1075thegame.com and click on Sweet Deals and purchase yourself a craft beer card. It's just $79. It's only $79, but it has a $360 value. There's 12 different craft beer locations that you can go to. Each one, you can spend up to $30 per location. That's $360 value for only $79. It's the craft beer card. You can purchase yours today. Go to 1075thegame.com and click on Sweet Deals to purchase your craft beer card. Reminder tonight, Carolina calls with Coach Shane Beamer. We'll hear from him, get a better idea of what exactly the spring game will look like coming up Saturday evening. One of the big things that we're all looking for is seeing LaNorris Sellers. And yesterday, Sellers talked about his progression in year 2.
I'm just saying, like, I understand the system now. Like, last year, I was just pretty much learning it, like, taking it on the fly, really. But this year, like, I actually understand, like, the process of the system, understand, like, why plays, like, happen the way they do and why routes are there. And it just came a lot slower to me.
That is the studious.
Very studious.
LaNorris Sellers.
Very studious. It's not just the goggles, though. It's the posture, the way he addresses the questions.
He's a big dude. He is a physically big, like, there are, and I've talked about this, and I forget if I talked about it with you, where I would want to go to SEC Media Day just to see the physical stature of players. LaNorris Sellers is one of those guys that when you see up close, you like physically see, like, he is a big dude.
That's why I always say you can look at numbers on the roster and see people's heights and weights, but everybody's height and weight is distributed differently. And like you said, some people, there could be another person with those same listings that doesn't physically look as big as he is. So yes, he's very, I don't even know if imposing is the word. He's just a presence. But that makes a lot of sense. Last year, he's just running around using his physical abilities. There's a lot of things happening, way more plays than I'm sure he had in high school. You don't necessarily understand what's happening. The next year, it all starts to make a little bit more sense, and that makes sense. And, Jen, can we get this with this, I believe it's cut 3, where he talks about his second season with, I don't know how I feel about this, D-Lo as a nickname, but Dow Loggins.
Yeah, he's more intense this year, I'll say. Like, last year he was intense too, but this year just, like, he has an edge about him, I'll say. Like, I love D-Lo, I love his coaching like I've always have. Stand-up, funny guy. Like, he'll be honest with you all the time. So I feel like this year he's just more intense, like, more attention to detail this year, like, with everybody in the room rather than just, like, because Spencer knew his stuff last year, so he didn't have to really, like, tell him much. But this year it's more like, you got to just tell everybody and coach everybody, like, differently based on their strengths.
That's the answer. That's the answer. It's a little bit different when you don't look out there and see 7 in the quarterback room. He has to be more intense this year. He's like, oh, I got a coach this year for real. Like, last year he was polishing up. He was making Spencer look good. You know, hey, Spencer, what do you think about doing this? You ever thought about he's doing a different level of coaching this year?
And what is that like?
It's probably, like he said, it's a little bit more intense. And also it's definitely intense when there's a different level of intensity when you're the backup guy, you know.
Are you for naming a starter in this situation? Because I know every situation's different. Are you for naming a starter essentially Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, whenever? Is that?
I'm for naming the starter as soon as it becomes clear. As soon as we have a decision that is made, let's make the decision. Let's not prolong it for any type of gimmick or any other reason that we have. But if we know as a staff who the starter is going to be, or at least we think the starter is going to be, let's go ahead and do it, because that just dictates the rest of practice, how you split your reps, who goes with what teams. And this is what I also say. And I don't know, I do not know this. I have no information. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. But the team is picking a starter.
Right.
They're lining up behind who they think is the starter.
Well, you came into a situation where it had been 2 years prior in '98 that there had been a split, Brad Scott's last year, where some thought Anthony Wright should be the starter and some felt it was time to move on to Phil Petty, I believe.
Well, we had a very similar situation in whatever year when Demetrius Summers came. Because Demetrius was a guy that was very highly recruited. He came in and he was awesome. He was amazing. Well, he also had this guy named Kenny Irons, who players had some allegiances to. And guess what? Kenny was pretty good too. And you could feel, especially on that side of the ball, guys were kind of leaning towards, there was a loyalty factor as wanting to get their guy more snaps. But we also had this all-world dude coming in. So I say all that to say that the players are figuring out who they think is the better guy. And hopefully the coaches are making the same decision.
I want to table that, write that down, because I want to come back to what you just said about Summers and Irons, and I'll throw in Corey Boyd in there. Was that one of the best running back rooms South Carolina ever had and it never developed like it could? I want to come back to that, but let's play this real quick. LaNorris Sellers talking about his goals for Saturday night in the spring game.
Pretty much taking care of the ball is the biggest thing, getting the ball up and down the field, and scoring, honestly. Like, you're judged on how fast, or like, not how fast, but like how many times you get the ball into the end zone. So, I mean, as long as we score, move the ball, and protect it, I think it'll be a pretty good spring game, no matter how we go about it.
So if they score a lot, then do we worry about the defense?
Well, here's the key. It's not necessarily if they score a lot, but if he scores fast, like he was just saying, we don't like scoring fast. We can have some long, sustained drives, and we can pick some things out. But if they're running up and down the field, that's probably not what we want to see.
803-404-6100. So that's LaNorris Sellers. Very interested to see him. One guy we will not see, but we'll hear from in a second, is Rocket Sanders. And we'll come back to that running back discussion. I mean, you look at that room, in hindsight, it didn't work like it should have. But you look at those names.
All of those dudes could go.
And interesting. We'll talk about Rocket Sanders. We'll let you hear a little bit where he's at in his recovery when we come back. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Spring is here. That means spring cleaning. That's no fun. Nobody enjoys actually cleaning, or I don't think you do. And if you don't, you're like me, that's perfectly fine. Then you need to use Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. They have traditional carpet cleaners, they have a different way of cleaning. ZR Water Technology. Traditional carpet cleaners use soaps, harsh chemicals. They have a sticky residue. It attracts dirt over time, leaves it in your carpet. You don't want to roll around on that. You don't want the pets playing on that, the kids. Nope. You need ZR Water Technology, which is exactly what Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning uses. Right now, take advantage of their April sale. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for only $129 when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game. Give him a phone call, 803-262-4020, or book online, ZerorezColumbia.com. Zerorez, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean.
And it looks like we have an accident. Greenwood Drive at Highway 302. That would be in West Columbia. And Spears Creek Church Road at Wood Creek Farms Road. Also a tie up there. Sunny and hot, 90 for that high today. Chance for some stray storms tomorrow, 88 for the high. Evening storms possible on Saturday, high of 86, before we cool down on Sunday. And we're looking at 68 for the high with some evening showers rolling in to Monday. Maybe some morning showers on Monday and a high of 66. But right now, it's pretty decent. It's 62 on the early game.
Make sure you go to 1075thegame.com and register for the Palmetto Citizens FCU Grand Slam giveaway. $925 is in the pot right now because South Carolina this year has not hit a Grand Slam. I feel like that's an anomaly. I feel like there should be one Grand. I don't know the statistics on that. Like, I'd kind of be interested. I'm not going to do the deep dive on that later. That's not where I'm going to go down the path of how many teams in the SEC have hit a Grand Slam this year. But I feel like at this point, having one Grand Slam seems like about right.
You know how we dismiss no-hitters now?
Uh-huh.
Can never dismiss the Grand Slam. It's
Really?
still special.
Okay.
And when it happens, it's still really cool.
Yeah.
It's still a cool thing. So for it to not have happened, maybe they're just saving it for the right time.
Okay.
They're letting the pot build up a little bit. It's going to be in a big game, SEC series, maybe the clinch, sweep.
This would be a good win this weekend. This would be a good win this weekend to have a couple Grand Slams. So go ahead, get signed up. The Palmetto Citizens FCU Grand Slam giveaway. Go to 1075thegame.com and get yourself registered today. That way, if there is indeed a Grand Slam Friday night, you can win $925. So go ahead. Again, go to 1075thegame.com and register the Palmetto Citizens FCU Grand Slam giveaway. Reminder, Carolina calls tonight with Shane Beamer, 6 o'clock. I mentioned yesterday, after you left, just in terms of guys that you're interested to see, Juwan Howell is the guy that I'm really excited to see because of what your buddy, and we've had him on before, Nashawn Goddard, talked about he saw from him at South Carolina State.
Yeah, he was very excited. Obviously not happy, not greatly excited to lose him because that's a significant part of their offense at South Carolina State. But he did say that this kid can obviously play at this level and that if he was going to go anywhere, he's glad he's going to South Carolina. So he's excited on that level. But I think Juwan is one of those guys who maybe initially just slipped through the recruiting ranks initially and probably.
Yeah, but when you say no, he didn't slip through the recruiting ranks because, like, he barely ended, if I understand the story right, he barely ended up at South Carolina State. Like, it was kind of like, oh, there's a kid, because I mean, from what I have heard, and correct me if I'm wrong, like, it's almost like nobody even was aware that this kid was playing football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and believe it or not, that can still happen. As much technology, as many camps and showcases as they have, there still are cases for whatever reasons. Could be late exposure, it could be grades, it could be all types of reasons.
Well, I'll give you
happen.
I'll give you an example. I mean, not he got offers, but Nick Eamon-Mori.
Yeah.
Like, that's a guy that if he'd have gone to some of those Nike camps and Under Armour camps and things, he's probably a 4-star. LaNorris Sellers, if you've listened to J.C. Sherbert, and I've talked to other recruiting people, not just J.C., who have said that if he didn't sustain an injury, I believe it was his junior year, he'd been considered one of the top 3 or 4 quarterbacks in the country. He could have been pushing up on 5-star status, but because he got injured, he didn't play his junior year much, he didn't go to many of the camps. Juwan Howell is a guy that, again, though, it's kind of crazy. His story, and this kid, again, I've bought into the hype a little bit.
There you go.
I've allowed myself to buy into the hype a little bit.
As everybody that I've talked to and everybody that football opinions I really trust, they said this is a guy. He's an SEC caliber dude, talent wise.
And I know that people are talking about Oscar Attaway as well. You've got Dontavius Braswell again is another guy that has been mentioned obviously in that running back room. We'll see kind of how it all plays out for them. But with that being said, one guy that we will not see Saturday night is Rocket Sanders, and he talked about where he's at in his recovery, trying to get back and be ready for the 2024 season.
I'll probably say actually, I feel like I'm in a spot to where I feel like the process is going fast. Actually, I didn't know I was going to be here, but where I'm at right now, I feel like I'm in the best position right now with my body.
He also talked about having to watch from the sidelines this spring and how that's affected him, and what he's done. Here is the next part of that clip talking about watching from the sidelines.
I feel like, at Arkansas, that's when it happened, well, not even with my shoulder, but with my knee. And during the season, it was a little awful for me, just because I'm not used to watching and observing, and watching a lot of film for sure, but just observing and not playing. But when I came here, I feel like they made me feel like family. So it's like when I'm out there, I'm encouraging the running backs, even though I'm not there like 24/7 watching them. But just whenever we're in the film room, I feel like just absorbing the film and helping them out. Definitely Jawan.
And you caught that last part, definitely Jawan. But what do you take away from that?
Well, the thing I would take away from that is that my understanding is that you got hurt during the season at Arkansas, and when we're in the season and you get hurt, we don't have a lot of time to make you feel like we're family. We love you, but we still got a very strong mission ahead of us that we need to make sure that we're trying to accomplish. In the spring, there's more time. There's more the load is not as heavy on coaches, and so that's probably why. So I don't think that's any slight to Arkansas as that unit. Maybe a credit to South Carolina. But watching from the sideline is not the same as getting reps, and you need to have physical reps. I don't care what anybody says about mental reps. Those are great in addition to physical reps.
Well, you and I have talked about this because we feel like, maybe don't agree with me, for Nick Harbor, he needed the physical reps. Mm-hmm. He needed those maybe more than the mental reps. On the flip side of that, a guy who's been around, even though it's a brand new school and relatively brand new system, Rocket Sanders, though, has played a lot of college football. Did he need the physical reps as much as I think it's flipped.
Not as much.
Right.
No, he does not need as much. He still needs them for timing purposes, for rhythm purposes. But then there's also going to be this durability idea, because if it's a knee, and I'm not as concerned with the knee as the shoulder, because as a running back, you don't have control over how you get hit. You're going to get hit. If you want to lower your shoulder, that's taking away one of your weapons, essentially. And so that's going to be a difficult thing. That's going to be something that we'll probably keep an eye on for the duration of his time.
Torn labrum is what he dealt with. And speaking of the offense, he compared the similarities from the Arkansas offense to the South Carolina offense. This is Rocket Sanders yesterday on the similarities that he's seeing to the Arkansas offense.
I feel like it's a little changing. I feel like it's somewhat the same, but just a little tweak to it. I feel like it's some good stuff going in, and I feel like it's something that I had my freshman and sophomore year for sure.
I do kind of wish he'd have been like, I don't understand what we're doing. I don't know what Coach D'Lo is trying to do out here.
Well, this is how you know Rocket Sanders has been in college football for a long time, because he said absolutely nothing just now. He said, yeah, it's kind of the same, a little different, little tweak here and there. I'm looking forward to it. It's good. He's been around college coaches for a long time.
One thing does it matter if you have a new running backs coach? How important is that? Marquell Blackwell did not speak. That whole situation is.
Still don't like that. I want to be on record on saying that I don't like that.
It's just kind of an interesting, weird situation. But you get this room of essentially new running backs. Juju McDowell out right now with a broken collarbone. But you get a new running backs coach in, and it seems, because we hadn't heard him speak, that Blackwell's more of the passive guy, the more laid-back guy that's probably just sitting there listening to Sean Elliott get all red-faced talking about running, pulling guards, and moving.
You got to hit his hip.
Yeah.
Drop the hip. Some silly thing like that.
And then you got Mike Furry, who's supposedly very upbeat and up-tempo, yelling about stuff, and Blackwell's just sitting there like, oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Well, and I don't know this to be true, but that you need a balancer. You need somebody to balance off all those things. So you have all these high-energy dudes. You might need a running back coach who's back there telling them, explaining to them, teaching, showing, not necessarily of the yelling and variety type, but more of the mellow, laid-back type.
Jen, let's hear that rocket on Coach Blackwell, because we don't know anything about. Nobody's really spoke about Coach Blackwell.
Black Hole.
We have no clue. If he talks, we have no clue. If he yells, this is Rocket Sanders giving a little insight into who Coach Blackwell is and how he is coached.
I feel like he reminds me of my coach at Arkansas, Coach Smith, definitely. I feel like he's a guy that keeps us 100 in the room. I feel like that's a big part of just coaching all around. I feel like keeping 100 with the guys is the number one thing I see. Definitely, like I said, definitely 100, keep 100 type of guy. Know about the offense, know about the streams. He learning as well, so he know a lot. Like I said, he know a lot about the offense, teaching us about the defense. Learning the front. So I feel like he know his stuff, and I can't wait to get going with him this season.
I give you, Rocket Sanders speaks fast, but he does not say a whole lot. He said keep it 103 times.
He's got a future. He's got a future.
He's got a future running backs coach.
He's got a future in the business.
Who knows how to talk, but say absolutely nothing.
Well, here's what I'll say. A coach that keeps it 100 with you could be a good thing, also could be very bad, because when they tell you the truth about how you performed, may not be a great day in film session.
Need to have some thick skin.
Maybe.
I want to come back. I want to come back to that Kenny Irons, Corey Boyd, Demetrius Summers conversation in the next segment. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, she's Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing. For nearly 30 years, Mid-State Roofing has been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And I tell you what, they have continued to take care of people like me, like you, and they've done it here in Columbia. They've done it in Florence. They've done it in Myrtle Beach, and they're going to continue to do it. Larry Leitner and his team is happy and proud to make sure that your roof is nice and sealed, keeping the water out. That's right. They want to keep your operation dry and running. So give them a phone call today. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you with a maintenance contract. 803-356-1919. You will speak with an on-call technician or with a Mid-State Roofing employee. So give them a phone call. Tell them you heard it here with Bill Gunner. That is Mid-State Roofing, 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. 7:49 as we wrap up hour 2, hour 3 on the way. Our good buddy, Mr. Josh Harris, set to join us, Darlington Raceway president, coming up here in just a little while. I have started an early season failure here, back-to-back fifth-place finishes for me to allow Reggie Anderson to tie me up. Preston Thorne just 2 points behind at 29. He's smug with that.
Right where I want to be.
Had Denny Hamlin. No, excuse me. You had Tyler Reddick. I almost called him J.J. Reddick. You had Tyler Reddick last week. Jen, Kyle Larson. Jen just kind of right there in the middle. You're just kind of cruising along. This problem is you're not really doing anything to move yourself up. You're in last place in our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge.
That's why it's a crapshoot. You have somebody who's leading the race and very dominant, and then a little issue in the pits, and that sets you back. That's kind of how it all works.
It is kind of how it can all work. Jen in last place, unfortunately. Josh has pulled himself together there. He's in a good spot. Had a good little run of weeks here to get himself to 1 point behind Preston, 3 points behind Reggie and I. That's coming up at 8:30 this morning, our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. We've been talking running backs, and you mentioned a divide in the room when you were there a little bit, kind of a division between Kenny Irons and in comes Demetrius Summers. Walk me back through that, because now, in hindsight, 20 years later, that's a heck of a running back room. And I don't know if that is a sign of, unfortunately, where Lou Holtz allowed the program to get where you had a supremely talented room, but you couldn't make it cohesive, I guess.
Yeah, all of those dudes, and I don't know if it was necessarily a divide between them.
Right.
It wasn't them. It was just that the team felt as if Kenny Irons had been there. He had earned the opportunity to start sort of like an incumbent situation. But we had this guy who was number 2 in the country coming in to play, and by the way, was very good. And then this other very underrated dude from New Jersey, and so he had sort of the outsider thing going on for him. And it was just a lot of and also the team as a whole was just not a great fit as a culture. And so you put all that together where if everything is working, this can work. This can be really cool. But in that situation, it wasn't good. But, yeah, all three of those dudes, super talented.
It's really – and then, as somebody else pointed out, and I don't know if it was 03, was Dacus Turman on that team and Gonzi Gray?
Yeah, Dacus was there, and Gonzi was there also. Gonzi was a speedster out of Maryland. Never could quite get it going, but was one of those dudes that maybe you might think about would show flashes in practice, but could never really quite get it going. And D-Train was a beast out of Washington Wills, Georgia. So a lot of guys in that room, and again, very much so. I don't know who Markel Blackwell is as a coach. I do as a running back coach. You better have your psychology degree in hand, because those dudes are interesting, all of them. They're like the wide receivers if you turn the crazy up a little bit and turn the diva-ness down a little bit.
Okay.
They're
less flash, more like don't know what they're thinking right away.
A little bit more like, okay, where are those eyes set?
This is good. This running back room, you go from, of course, new running backs coach, but you do go from a situation where you really didn't have – Mario Anderson developed into that running back, but other than that, you had a freshman in Braswell. You had Juju McDowell, who, unfortunately, because he's been out with a shoulder injury, I think they're still trying to figure out what he is and who he is and what he's going to do. And then last year you had DeCarrion Joyner, who unfortunately just wasn't a running back. But the bottom line is this year you do have running backs. You've got Jarwan Howell. You've got Rocket Sanders, who will be back. Oscar Attaway III is there as well. And then you do have DJ Braswell. So you're right about having to figure out, especially when 3 of these guys are transfers. 3 of them are transfers, and they come and go, all right, I want the ball.
Yeah, each one of those guys wants the ball. Each one of them wants the ball, and all of them have different levels of things that they need to prove. Rocky probably feels like he's done it in the SEC, so maybe I should be getting this shot. Jawan obviously has a chip on his shoulder, feel like he's coming up from another level. Oscar Attaway feels like he's an older guy, but now he's playing in the SEC. Let me show what I can do on this level. So all of them have something to prove, which makes for a really compelling room, provided everything else is intact, and you have Coach Blackwell who can hopefully, corral all of those motivations in the same direction.
who ends up making I guess it's the offensive coordinator is the guy who ends up basically making the call on that. That's going to be interesting this year is how we see the substitution pattern for that.
Very interesting. Last year, over the past 2 years, you would notice seemed like there was some inconsistencies.
Well, it was
with
like it was the thing that talked about. I think it was the Texas A&M game where not only was Satterfield not getting Marshawn Lloyd the ball, but he wasn't even in there at times. And you would go, why is he not in there? Whose call was that?
I don't know. It can be either one's call, but there was obviously miscommunications. Sometimes an offensive coordinator might be trying to make a play call. He looks down and sees a different guy in the huddle, and he's like, I can't make this call because this dude can't make whatever the demands of that specific play are. So they have to be on the same page as far as what they're trying to do.
We'll get into more of it as hour number 3 on the way. You're listening to Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen. It's the early game.
Greenwood Drive at Highway 302. We have that accident in West Columbia. Also, Augusta Road at North Grampian Hills Road. I-26 eastbound at I-20, you'll find an accident there. And a disabled vehicle might impact some traffic flow. I-77 southbound at Bluff Road, exit 5. So just be careful as approaching that area. And we're looking for a high today of, let's say, 90. Yeah, sunny and 90 to be exact. Stray storms tomorrow, 88 for the high. And afternoon or evening thunderstorm on Saturday, 86. By the time we hit Sunday, we're going to be dropping into the upper 60s with some rain. 61 right now in the early game.
Rolling along on your Thursday morning, just minutes away, really. Well, probably about 30 minutes away, I should say. Not minutes away, but 30 minutes away from the start of the Heritage down in Hilton Head, Harbor Town. Have you ever been to Harbor Town? And then I'll ask, have you ever been to the Heritage?
I've never been to the Heritage. I have been to Harbor Town before.
It is not, because it doesn't have, it is a laid-back version of the waste management. Didn't we have, what was the question? I think, did you ask me, was the waste management out of control?
Was it too far? I just wanted to know. If
it's 17 or 16, whatever that hole, whatever the stadium hole is. I forget if it's 16 or 17 now. That throws it over the top because you see the throwing of the beers and the crowd, and that's escalated in years. The waste management out in Scottsdale, it's escalated to the point that, like, now it's one of those things you do, like, oh, we're going to go sit in the stadium hall. Well, let's act as dumb as we can. Oh, it's allowed right here. Okay,
yes, it becomes a self-fulfilling thing where it just attracts more.
We're allowed to do this. Let's throw it over the top now a little bit and get dumb. Whereas the Heritage, I would encourage. We have some great events coming up here in about 30 minutes. We're going to talk with Josh Harris of Darlington Raceway, and that's a phenomenal event coming up now in just a few weeks. We have some phenomenal sporting events in this state, and whether you're a golf fan or not, I'd encourage everybody to try and make a trip. It is one of the cool things about it is now they've changed it, they've tweaked it a tad because it's called a significant event now, but it's laid back, and guys are coming off of the Masters. Like, Scotty Scheffler just won a green jacket. Financially, Scotty Scheffler is doing good. I believe the stat that popped out yesterday is Scotty Scheffler's caddy would be 54th on the money list on the PGA Tour. I believe that's what the number was I saw on Twitter yesterday. Somebody can correct me if I've misread that. I didn't intend to bring that back up today, so I didn't keep it in my notes. But I believe Scotty Scheffler's caddy is made. Scotty Scheffler's made so much money that his caddy would be 54th, if I'm thinking correctly. I'm not saying he doesn't care about the Heritage. It's just you just won the Masters. What do you think? If you've got the family, and he, by the way, is playing this week. I'm not sure what has occurred. I didn't even think to follow up and look to see if the baby was born. But I saw his name on the tee times this morning. Now I never even thought to look this up to see if the baby was born this week, because I'm assuming the baby was born. And then he had, like, daddy duty for, like, 2 days. I was like, whoa.
Gotta go make some money now. He felt the pressure that everybody feels like, oh, I better go swing these clubs.
I'm just glad it doesn't say it. Just there's a Fox News article that says he was spotted at a Dallas dive bar after winning the 2024 Masters. Like, had the baby and went back. But yeah, he's scheduled. I think I read his tee time. I think it was 10:30 is what he is listed on the tee times. I'll get back to that. But I would encourage you to go because, again, for him it's more laid back. Like, he's more likely to be standing there and to have a conversation with you at that event. Just be like, hey, congratulations on winning the Masters, and hey, thank you, whatever. But that's that's what the Heritage is all about. It's not loud and everything, but they're still like you can have a casual conversation. Maybe the guy's teeing off. Whereas if you're at the Masters and you talk, one of the Masters people snatches you up and drags you out by the hair.
So just the pretentiousness of the Masters is not there. It's a little less stuffy.
Yeah, you got your drink. Matter of fact,
more relaxed.
Bobby weighs in and says best Bloody Mary ever at the Heritage.
Well, besides the fact that there's no such thing, I can understand that. There's no such thing as the best Bloody Mary, but that's another conversation for another time.
Jerry says Scotty needs to be, well, number one, texter weighs in and says not born yet. The baby not born yet. Jerry says Scotty needs to be at the Heritage because it's an elevated event. Otherwise, he gets fined like Rory did last year. But I know that, but don't you basically, like in this situation, be like, it's cool, I'll pay the fine. I don't know what the fine is. I don't know what the financial number is, but
Wait a second. So the baby's not born yet.
Right.
Even though the baby was very close to coming.
We didn't know.
Now he has a chance to just be like, you know what? I'm gonna take the fine. I'm gonna stay home, and we'll see. And he's like, there we go. Starting to think that maybe that whole situation was a little overblown, Scotty.
We blew it up a little bit too much.
Starting to think so.
Kind of like that way. If he had a bad Saturday run, he's like, I gotta go. My wife's.
I'm starting to think so because he got a break. He got a reprieve. The baby did his job, stayed in for a little while longer. Wife did her job. Everybody held tight. Scotty, you could have stayed home this week.
And I thought that Richard says I'd have to go back and look at the rule. This is what happens when we start talking about stuff that I didn't intend to talk about, so I didn't do all the research on it. And Richard says they can miss one signature event without fine. I thought that was true. So if Scotty's there, and again, I'll check the tee time. He was listed when I read them off earlier. That he is there and is playing. He was listed, I believe it was a 10:30 tee time is what I.
So what you're telling me is the baby has not been born.
Scotty Scheffler is teeing off with Jordan Spieth at 10:30 this morning.
The baby has not been born yet. He can miss one. He has an excused absence, and he's choosing not to take it.
That's what I'm saying. But he is listed as I look at the tee times for the morning at 10:30 this morning, and you
better go win this one, buddy. You better bring home a big check.
That actually, because nothing against Augusta, but let's be honest, it's the Masters. Tell the pregnant wife about to have it. Hey, I'm going to Augusta, Georgia. They're like, all right, well, there's not gonna be a whole lot there. I know it's the Masters, but you're really focused on. Hey, I'm going to Harbortown in the Heritage, because there was the story years ago that Dustin Johnson was like, oh, there's too much partying there. And that was when he was kind of going through some events in life and was like, I'm gonna be smart and hold on, I got text. So we're gonna have to do some research. We're going down a path. We're going down a path.
All I'm saying is I heard he had an unexcused absence that he's not using.
Harry weighs in now again. All I'm saying is, in all the things I do in life, following when other people's baby is due is not. I'm well past. I got one friend right now who has a baby due in June, and I barely keep up with that. And I'm a poor friend. I'm an awful friend. But Harry weighs in and says the baby was not due to be born for 4 more weeks as of the Masters. Hold on.
Okay. Now we have entered into.
Who started this story?
This is getting more and more interesting by the minute. The impression that I was given was that she was in labor.
That's what I was understanding. Well, that she wasn't in labor, but
very close.
It could happen at any moment. I guess when you get to 4 weeks, I do get that something can happen.
Of course. We have to do some research.
Several of you are weighing in. There's a lot of people right now that have had children that are weighing in. Timbo says, you ever spent all your time in a house with a 9-month pregnant woman?
She probably told him, go, get out. I'll handle it myself. Get out of here.
Richard saying Scotty already knows that this is his first child, so partying will be over. This is his last weekend to get some fun in this year. Another texter coming back. Take the excused absence after the baby is born. Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, Scotty. You might want to save that one.
And Marshall, I do agree with this. He said that's how uneventful and weak the golf storylines are right now. Yeah, we're not really paying attention to anything else. Baby watch is on for Scotty Scheffler. There was actually some golf news real quick from yesterday that is relevant to our state. The 2031. All right, I know I'm doing this way out, but 2031, the PGA Championship will return to the Ocean Course at Kiowa Island. Where it was back in 2021. That's awesome. Number one, for our state to host another major event like that. Two, to have it at Kiowa. I was there in 2021 when Phil Mickelson won. Number one, the Ocean Course is a lot of fun. Pain in the rear end to walk. Not enjoyable. Really, it's a great for event. I will tell you this, not the best spectator course, because the front nine goes, if you're facing the ocean, the front nine goes left and goes out and comes back. So if you walk all the way out, now you got to come all the way back. Like the clubhouse is dead in the middle of the course. And then the back nine, if you're facing the ocean, goes out right, and you walk all the way out, and then you kind of got to wander all the way back. So you kind of hang around. I hung around 4 or 5 holes right around the clubhouse, but still a bit of a walk. But the PGA Championship will return to Kiowa Island and the Ocean Course in 2031, where the previous 2 champions have set tournament records. Rory McIlroy winning back in 2012 and Phil Mickelson winning in 2021. So cool for the state.
Yeah, that is cool.
Good for the state.
Anytime you can host a major event is really cool.
A lot of fun. Again, we know of football games that are scheduled further out than that. So 2031 doesn't feel...
Isn't there a Virginia Tech game on the schedule for sometime in the 2030s?
I think it's 36.
Good luck. Godspeed. I hope I'm there.
This occurred a couple years ago when South Carolina scheduled that Miami game, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, that's the weekend of my daughter's 18th birthday. Hey, sweetie, you want to spend number 18 in Miami? How you feeling about that? She was like, oh, I think I could do that. I was like, all right, good. We'll catch some football as well. 803-404-6100. We'll get back into some football. Let you listen to Dylan Stewart and Mazeo Bennett, 2 of the freshmen that'll be interesting to see Saturday night at the spring game. You're listening to the early game.
Farming Creek Road at Dreer Shoals Road. We have a report of an accident there. Also, Greenwood Drive at Highway 302 in West Columbia. I-26 eastbound at exit 102. We're reporting an accident there. Also, I-26 eastbound at exit 107B, otherwise known as Malfunction Junction. I-126 eastbound at just after Greystone Boulevard. A report of a tie-up there. And getting things cleaned up, Highway 1 at North Grampian Hills Road. 90 under sunny skies today is what we're expecting. Maybe some stray storms tomorrow, 88. An evening storm on Saturday, 86 for the high. Then we get into the upper 60s with an evening shower on Sunday. But looking pretty nice right now, warming up 63 on the early game.
Reminder, you can always follow us, of course, right here, 107.5 The Game in Columbia, 100.5 The Game in Florence, and 100.3 The Game in Myrtle Beach. But don't forget about where we stream. You can go to The Game TV, at The Game TV Radio on YouTube. It's sponsored by Shepherd's Glass. You can even go back and watch yesterday's Cam Scott announcement as he popped up. I didn't realize, Jen and Terry, I want y'all to hear this. We made a mistake. I did not know this, all right? And somebody brought this to my attention last night. Coach Elliott Pope, Lexington High School coach, very nice guy. Of course, I went to Lexington, and I've been cutting up with him. He brought me some state championship gear. So we're doing the live stream, and we planned, Terry and I, right yesterday, to make sure that we kind of didn't give away the announcement, right? We kind of went out of our way to make sure we didn't give away the announcement. So we moved our cameras around so that nobody could see. Well, Coach Pope gave me a shirt, said Lexington State Champions, and a hat. I was standing right here in the line of the camera, holding, like, not knowing what I was doing, looking at the state championship shirt, and I had a couple. I didn't know, and I went back and watched the video because you can go back to YouTube again. Go to the Game TV Radio on YouTube, and I had several people go. And I noticed on the live stream on the chat, people were like, oh, it's Lexington because he's got a Lexington shirt he's holding up.
Well, and the fact that you said that he was delayed in traffic coming from Lexington.
I wasn't going to bring that up. About Lexington traffic.
So we can't tell Bill any secrets anymore. We can't.
Those are just called Easter eggs in the business.
And the funny thing about that is
some trails.
I had held that secret from about 9:15 yesterday morning until about 7:50 when I was like, Lexington traffic might delay Cam Scott. But then I'm standing here not thinking, because, again, you can go follow us, go watch us on YouTube.
That's Bill, just not thinking.
Not thinking, yeah. Clip that one. And I'm holding up the shirt that says Lexington High School, or, and then apparently people last night that I was talking to were like, yeah, then we knew who was in studio. You're holding Lexington attire, buddy.
Listen. On the season finale of Game of Thrones, they had a Starbucks cup underneath the tables.
That is true.
And I'm just saying that to say, it happens to the best of them, Bill. That's all I'm saying.
Well, everybody, Starbucks was a well-known coffee joint in Westeros.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying is it could happen. There's a Reddit thread now about 107.5 and the Lexington shirt. What did it mean? What's going on?
Yeah, I laughed. I couldn't help. But you go. So you can always watch us on YouTube. Go to the Game TV Radio on YouTube, and you can stream us there. Sponsored by Shepherd's Glass.
Bill, the epitome of professionalism. It's like, there's a lot of smack in the foreheads when we work with Bill. That was funny.
I didn't realize. I actually went back and watched the video last night. I'm just standing here smiling, looking at the shirt. I was like, oh, what an idiot. What an idiot. 803-404-6100. Let's move on to something far smarter. The defensive lineman himself, Preston Thorne. Let's let you listen to Dylan Stewart. And let's go backwards, Jen. Let's start with 16 here. This is Dylan Stewart on getting up to speed for this season.
I'm getting up to speed pretty quickly. Like, some of the challenges are like remembering hand signals, things like that, but that will come.
So many so many signals.
I felt like you just had a flashback.
So many calls. It's like, why do we have all these calls? There's 15,000 signals, and the coaches are yelling from the sideline. You have to remember. I would assume that Dylan didn't have to remember many calls in high school.
They were like, quarterback, ball, go.
You go that way. So, yeah, he's having to learn the scheme, which I'm sure he's probably equipped for. But it is, and again, these are young people who, Dylan is an early enrollee, correct?
Right, yep.
He's supposed to be in high school right now. All these other guys are veterans. Boogie's been here for 8 years, and Tonka's, these dudes know what's happening. And you just take for granted how many things you don't know as a freshman coming into a brand new situation. So, yeah, of course he's learning right now.
What can we expect from him Saturday night? Because you talked about it, like in a spring game, we're all watching the quarterback, and if a receiver drops a pass, you go, oh, that's not good. If a running back fumbles, oh, that's not good. Defensive line, like you said, what did you say? You could get reached 3 times? Is that what you said?
Nobody will ever know.
Nobody knows.
Nobody will be like, look at that running back running, not knowing that he just ran through my hole. So that's what they won't say.
So if people are watching on Saturday, you're watching.
You want to watch Dylan Stewart, it's our first chance to see him in pads. You want to see his get off, his burst in passing situations, because I'm assuming that's what he's going to be really used for this year. You want to see him, maybe see if he puts some pressures on the quarterback. Look to see if he stays locked on blocks. How willing is he to be not blocked? His aggressiveness in those situations. So you're just gonna kind of
you watch his pursuit. Does that matter? Like
you might want to take note of that. See how that plays in. How hard does he play on a consistent basis? You can just sort of general idea of who he is as a football player.
Because that was something that at least I noticed with Brian Thomas Jr. last year. There was a play where he sprinted downfield. He got, obviously, whoever it was took off and got about 15 yards downfield, but Thomas was able to run him down from the line of scrimmage and catch up. And he just went, I like the hustle there.
There's something there. Yeah, that's something to pay attention to.
Let's listen. This is Dylan Stewart also talking about his personal goals in 2024. Here's what he had to say yesterday.
One of my goals is the freshman All-American, of course, and break the freshman record for sacks, which is 6. I think it's obtainable.
Is that national? Do we know if that's national or freshman record for sacks? Is that 6?
That can't be national because that'd be very poor for
any freshman.
Yeah. I need to check on that. Who holds that record? I'm not even sure.
I don't know if he's talking national or I ask you. You hear those are pretty generic goals, by the way. It's a good job of talking this morning by Rocket Sanders and by Dylan Stewart to keep it pretty.
Well, no, his goals were interesting because in order to make the freshman All-American or to get this amount of sacks, that means he would have to start. And so I'm interested to see because somebody else heard that whoever's position is
That's a really good point.
You sure about it?
Well, but isn't that what I mean? You want him to say that, right? Like, and
you want him to say that, but there's somebody else who's taking those reps right now, and so I don't know if you want that to happen or not. It just depends on how you see that playing out or where he is on the possible depth charts of the team. But obviously you want him to perform, but he sees himself as a guy who's going to come in and make a pretty big impact early. So again, going back to what his goals are, he says he's going to be a sack guy. So in the spring, we need to be looking to see what type of pressures he get. Does he get blocked? Does he stay on balance? Does he have good instincts as far as controlling the pocket, letting people bounce outside of him? So since you say you're a sack guy, let's check it out.
You look at the roster. One other guy the other night didn't speak yesterday, Kyle Kennard, 6'5", 240. Dylan Stewart, 6'5", 240. This is I'm going off of the Gamecocks online roster, but 6'5", 240, 6'5", 245. Desmond Yumi-Zulu, 6'6", 244. South Carolina actually is lining up this year. Gilbert Edmonds, 6'4", Jatius Gear, 6'6". It felt like with Will Muschamp, you saw South Carolina go to more of the, and I'm not trying to be mean when I say this, so I'm not trying to, shorter, stubbier defensive ends.
Oh, yeah.
6'1", the Aaron Sterlings, and the guys were like 6'1", 6'2", whereas now you've seen more, it feels like, of a push to get back to the length and the height that we saw.
Well, because you remember during the Will Muschamp time, they also experiment with the buck position,
right,
which was a hybrid end linebacker guy, so that might have been what they were trying to look at. Maybe these guys are going to be more so of a traditional, hand in the dirt defensive end. You might want a little bit more length at that position. Coaches like what they like.
Right.
And so you'll
That's what I'm
see
saying.
Coaches tend to, and they'll walk in, from basketball, they'll walk into a gym. One coach might like this body type, and another coach might be like, I don't really like that. So we'll see how it works.
Would you call them with the big guys? I'm trying to think. What was it? Like the Larry Nerd? Was he Larry Nerd from Indiana State? Yeah. The Husky fellas.
Might like a Husky guy.
The DJ Burns out there.
Hey, listen, people like what they like, man. You see, hey, listen. If I walk in the gym and I see a big and dribbling, I'm like, that's my guy. I'm on him. That's what I want.
Khalid Elamines bringing the ball up.
Any T-shirts underneath? Checking unofficialsportsreference.com. JD had 8 sacks his freshman year.
Okay.
So
let's get that number over to Dylan Stewart and let him know 6 would not accomplish what he wants to accomplish. He's going to get I did 8 sacks.
That's what it says.
Unreal. 803-404-6100. We will get out to the Love Chevy phone lines when we get back and catch up with Josh Harris, Darlington Raceway president. It is not far away, and we want to know how preparation is going there. We'll be down there on that particular Friday. Before, I'm trying to think real quick, that'll be the 10th. We will be in Darlington broadcasting as we always do. We'll catch up with Josh Harris next. You're listening to The Early Game.
Farming Creek Road at Dreer Shoals Road, we do still have a tie-up. Also, Highway 1 at North Grampian Hills Road, getting in the cleanup stages. I-26 eastbound at exit 102, also at Malfunction Junction, basically, 107B. And I-126 eastbound after Greystone Boulevard could still be slowing you down just a little bit. 90 will be our high today under sunny conditions. Then those stray storms start popping in tomorrow, a high of 88, 86 on Saturday before we drop down into the upper 60s on Sunday. But really, after today, some chances for rain really through about Monday. Right now, it's 63 on the early game.
The one. Byron into the wall. Yellow. It's over.
Chase Elliott is your winner, folks. He is back. Oh, big win for them guys.
The leader did receive a white. Boys, you're going to Dawsonville. Chase Elliott wins the Auto Trader Echo Park Automotive 400.
That was the call last week. Chase Elliott getting the job done in Texas and breaking quite the losing streak that he had going on.
42 races.
It's not a losing streak. I know you don't win, but in racing, there can only be one winner. So I don't know what you wouldn't call it a lose. Let's go to the guru, Mr. Harris, President, Darlington Raceway. Is it a losing streak if you don't win for 42 races, or is it just I think it's more you would define it a winless streak.
There you go. You hit it. I was going to go with winless streak, not losing streak.
Yes.
Because every week there's 36 to 40 competitors out there that don't win.
That's it's a winless.
Yes.
Good call. Now your thoughts last week as Elliott pulls a little ahead of Ross Chastain late in the race in overtime and able to pull it off at Texas Motor Speedway.
Well, certainly a popular win when Chase Elliott gets back in victory lane. So just from a sport standpoint, I think it's good to see him back and running well this year. You know, last year was a little bit of a down year for him, having to miss some time in the car after his snowboarding accident, and I'm not sure that he ever, fully got back. So the off season probably helped, but it's good for us. It was exciting into that race. There was a lot of different opportunities for drivers to take it home for a little bit there. I thought before those last few cautions, Denny Hamlin had gotten back out in front of Chase, and then Brad Keselowski had fresher tires and was chasing him down. So there could have been a number of ways that race turned out, but then you get that one caution with about 10 to go. I think it was Ricky Stenhouse that spun. And then when it bunched the field up, those restarts tend to be pretty crazy, and that's what we saw with a few other late cautions, and ultimately Chase coming out on top.
Yeah, an incredible race, a lot of fun here as we are moving through the season. I don't want to say hard to believe, but it's just weeks away where we get to come visit you. How are things going down there as we kind of count down the days now, getting closer to single digits?
Oh yeah, I think we're about 24 days from the Goodyear 400, but that means we're about 17, 18 days from opening up our campgrounds on Tuesday for fans to start coming in, and that's really when it kicks off for us. So it's a lot of work to finish up here in a short amount of time, but our team has been working hard. I feel like we're in a really good place, and excited to celebrate our roots and throwback weekend and welcome back some former competitors, some former racers, and celebrate them throughout the weekend, and just really have a fun event capped off with the Goodyear 400 on May 12th.
just for clarification for anybody, like, say, a radio host who wants to experience it, if they still wanted to get infield tickets or be able to get an RV, how do they go about doing that?
Yep, so there's a couple of ways. We've got all the information about our camping options that remain on our website at darlingtonraceway.com. Or if you want to talk to somebody and just get a little bit more information over the phone, 866-459-RACE. Our ticket representatives are standing by. I'd be happy to give you all the details on what we've got remaining.
I noticed that was not your phone number. I'll try and track that down through Jen later so I can get more information.
Don't you worry about that.
Yeah,
that will not be revealed, Josh.
Try and get that.
To be safe.
Try and get that from you. Let's look ahead to this coming weekend. First question I got to ask you. If you were to have a singer, songwriter, whomever, write a song about Darlington, much like Eric Church, I think this is why I love Talladega, only because of Eric Church's Talladega song.
It has nothing to do with the track
actual
itself.
race, yeah, not the history or tradition or anything about that. I just like Eric Church. If you were to have a singer-songwriter write a song about Darlington, who are you going with?
Oh, man. Put me on the spot.
Do you go more rock? Do you go more country?
That's what I'm asking, yeah.
I think just with the overall history, I think you probably go a little like Southern rock. Maybe back in the day you get a Leonard Skinner to write a good song about Darlington. That feels right.
Was actually, as soon as you said Southern rock, that's where I went. Leonard Skinner would be a good choice. Give us, for some of us who do not know, and I will raise my hand. As I was reading about this, it was being labeled, this weekend's race is what they call a plate race, which makes it kind of crazy. Am I missaying that?
No, you're not. It just makes me laugh. You're like, I was reading about that. It's a plate.
Well, though
race.
I'd never read it like when they say this, the way that it's being worded. I'm not going to lie. I don't understand it.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's probably the best way to explain it. That's old terminology that has just hung around year over year. I forget what year. It was maybe like 88 or 89. The speeds had gotten so high at Talladega and Daytona that they implemented a plate over the engine so that it reduced the horsepower, essentially. And what that created is what you see now at Talladega, Daytona, is that the cars run in a larger pack together. So that was where the term plate racing came in. More recently with this new car, they're actually accomplishing the same thing, but not with a restrictor plate. It's something else that they're doing with the engine, and it's called a tapered spacer. But ultimately, the idea is to reduce the horsepower so that the cars stay under a certain speed, which is a safety initiative, and to try to keep the cars on the ground and not go flipping over when there are crashes.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. The quote that I read as I was needing to research and pick my pick, it says, that doesn't necessarily mean you should go with a favorite. That's a good thing, because in plate races, there really are not clear-cut favorites. And I went,
oh, that would be correct, because, again, you'll see them all, bunching up, and they're kind of doing a special kind of drafting where they're all stand bumper to bumper, and eventually the engines can get warm and things like that, so you can overheat where they're going to have to kind of unconnect or something. But you'll see these momentums. Either the inside lane has momentum because that freight train is going, they're pushing somebody out front, and then you'll see the outside lane do it. So, yeah, it's just a different type of racing for sure.
Okay, so it's not what I was thinking, where like when you get in your car and you leave your leftover plate on the roof and drive off.
Yep, not even close.
Totally wrong.
No.
Totally wrong.
No.
All right.
See, Josh, this is what we work with, and that's why if he wins a race and brags about being a guru, I'm going to keep all of this, what he just said a few minutes ago.
Back-to-back winner.
This is an educational program.
It is.
So we are making new fans, educating them, and I think the part about this, Talladega, Daytona, Atlanta now, you can have the skill to drive the car better than others in this format, but you are so close to the other cars that a lot of times you may be taken out in an accident that really is no fault of your own. So that's what, to me, it's what makes picking a winner for this style race so much more challenging, because it's really kind of a wild card, and things are sometimes out of the driver's hands.
Let's make some picks. It's the Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge, sponsored again by Corley Pool Solutions. And Jen, you are up first. Where are you going here?
You know, I think I'm going to take the somewhat local guy. He just got the win last week, and I just feel like maybe momentum is on his side, which means he'll probably flame out or get caught up in a wreck. But I'm going to go Chase Elliott.
Yeah, it's an awful pick.
Okay.
Plus 1,200. Yeah, don't believe in that.
Again, go. No,
don't believe in that.
You can't go with the betting lines in this.
Mr. Harris, you are up now. You've closed the gap. You've made a run here. You've had a fantastic last 4 weeks. You're 3 points behind Reggie and I, 1 point behind Preston. So you're getting into form here. Where are you going?
You know, I may regret this, but I think this is the weekend Ford finally breaks through, and I'm going to go with our defending champion, Ryan Blaney. He's won at Talladega several times, so give me the number 12.
Not a bad pick there. Not a bad pick.
Absolutely.
He's up there. Preston, you are 1 point ahead. 1 point ahead to Josh. 2 points behind Reggie and I. Where are you going?
Give me Bubba Wallace.
He's won there before.
Bubba Wallace.
You could do it again.
I'm going to go with Brad Keselowski.
And I thought about him.
Give me Brad Keselowski on that. Give me Keselowski. Reggie, got a pick?
He does. It would be William Byron.
William Byron it is.
Yep.
There you go. They are in, and we will wait another week. We'll be 1 week closer to coming to see you, Mr. Harris. We always appreciate when you stop by.
Well, thanks for having me, and look forward to seeing you in just a couple of weeks.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Talk with you next week. Josh Harris, Darlington Raceway president, and as you heard him say, it is not far away. 24 days, 6 hours, 15 minutes, and we are now at 10 seconds away from Darlington. We come back, we'll wrap it up here on a Thursday morning. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Ecton Law Firm. Are tax troubles weighing you down? Don't let it happen. Don't let the stress of taxes, levies, or liens hold you back any longer. It's time to get in touch with John Ecton and his team at the Ecton Law Firm. 803-771-9800. That's how you can call them today and get a free consultation. They have a local team dedicated to resolving your income or business tax issues for good. So whether you're here in Columbia, Florence, you're in Myrtle Beach, John Ecton and his team are ready to help you. They understand the challenges you face, and that's why they're ready to offer you the peace of mind that you deserve. You don't need to be affected by taxes, levies, or liens in 2024. Call the Ecton Law Firm today and get a free consultation. 803-771-9800. Visit them on the web, ectonlawfirm.com. That's ECTON lawfirm.com. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 8:49 as we wrap it up here on a Thursday morning where all of us are employed. Unlike Bill Belichick. Preston Thorne, did you see the article on ESPN yesterday on the failed job search by Bill Belichick here in the offseason where he desperately, I was a little surprised at how desperately he wanted to coach again.
He wanted to work.
Yes.
He wanted to work. But unemployment, he's not working the same job that he's working, but he will have a job, according to the Omaha Productions.
Right, yes.
So
he will. Good point.
So he's not
totally unemployed.
He's not going to quite be in the unemployment line, but he's underemployed, as the econ folks would say.
Are you shocked by this? Is specifically the Atlanta piece about him not even finishing in their top 3 candidates? Like, is this a blow to Bill Belichick's reputation?
Well, I mean, the blow was made. I mean, it's just like it struck me how this was as much like any other job search where his reference called and was like, hey, I don't think you want to hire this guy. You know, Bob Kraft called Arthur Blank, was like, yeah, I mean, yeah. He was a pretty good employee. Shows up late. He doesn't, it was just like a regular job
with
search.
The other employees.
Doesn't work well with others. and Arthur Blank took him at his word and that seemed to be a very big consideration for why he was not hired for the Falcons job.
Really interesting to see now how we will view his legacy, because part of me thought yesterday in the Kraft, Brady, Belichick triangle that I would have had Belichick at the top, Brady second, and Kraft third. And now I kind of reverse that order. I think I still keep Brady second, but I think I'm leaning toward Bob Kraft.
As what?
As being the central figure in that, the head honcho, if you will, and more so overseeing everything and keeping everybody in line.
Well, he brought Bill in, so he made the hire, which was important. And then when Bill seemed to want to get unchecked with his power, trying to get Brady out of there, he basically put the kibosh on that and said, no, we're keeping this guy here. And they won another Super Bowl after the period where Bill was basically trying to move Brady out the way. And also, Tom got sick of being coached by Bill, and they were ready to, the thing was ready to move on. We talk about dynasties ending. It was time for it to end, but Kraft was the one that kept it together for a little bit of extra time.
Trying to win that one more championship. Yeah, it really is interesting. And after reading this, do we assume he will never coach that he's on? I don't know if blackballed is the right answer, is the right word for it, but I did read this coming across as Belichick's done as a coach. He's number one. He's 71.
That's correct. That's first thing. I think you got to take that into consideration. But also there might be an owner who's not necessarily in cahoots with Kraft, and maybe he doesn't take Bob Kraft for his word. So, when Bob Kraft calls Arthur Blank, they might have a good relationship. But when Bob Kraft calls, I don't know, Jerry Jones, maybe that's a different thing.
I did like this. It says the Falcons realized that it says that Belichick pledged his willingness to coexist with Falcon executives.
Guys, I'm telling you. So Bill, tell me about what happened on the last job. Okay, let me tell you how this really happened. I know what you might have heard.
It says it pledged his willingness to work with Falcons executives, which I feel like there was somebody up in the front office like, I don't want to be yelled at by Bill Belichick. But it said, in fact, he insisted he just wants to coach. But the Falcons realized that if you hire Bill Belichick, you hire all of him, the entire philosophy and ethos.
Yeah, and that's who he is, and that's what you want. I mean, the idea of Bill saying, I just want to coach, he might think that's what he wants, but do you really trust Bill to only just get in there and just be a coach?
The zebra doesn't change its stripes.
Yeah.
He's 71. I'm 41, and I'm pretty set in my ways.
He's not turning that off. And it's the beast that made him into what he was, because I don't want it to get in this point where we're talking about he didn't get a job at like how great he is and how great he was, but maybe the game has moved past him.
It's going to be interesting. I just wonder now, as he does this stuff with Peyton Manning, with Omaha Productions, as he commentates, if he goes out of his way to be funnier, more lighthearted, more Gino Auriemma grandpa-ish.
He's going to move along. I mean, it's always been said that Bill has a snide sense of humor. He always has been able to say funny things in his very, the sarcastic tone. But maybe we'll see more of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you see Saban blossoming, right? You see Saban turning into this guy. He's debonair.
That was it. Did we talk about that article on him where he was just proud of himself for being able to go and pick up some medication from the local CVS or Walgreens that he had to get?
Bill knows how to use his time. I mean, he has a boat in Nantucket. He's gonna be he'll be fine.
I also like that it said he met Arthur Blank on Arthur Blank's super yacht. Nothing like a job interview on a super yacht to get you through the day. We'll be out at Fort Jackson tomorrow, the McDaniels Golf Tournament. We'll have a lot of fun there, get you through a Friday. Y'all enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon.
Good. Yes, sir.
Good show. Good show. Good job, Jen.
Preston here. Let me tell you about my friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with your insurance company to take away the headache. That's right. They will come out to wherever you are, school, home, work,